This week, Jimmy the Geek heads to the stars with Firaxis as he explores a little civilization beyond Earth. Wargaming chats to us about what we can expect in World of Warships, and I catch up with Rocksteady Games to find out all about Batman Arkham Knight. This is Player Attack. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this week we are still trying to recover from Gamescom held last week in Cologne, Germany. One of the biggest announcements to come out of Europe's largest gaming convention didn't actually happen at the event at all. A new game known simply as PT was available for free on the PlayStation Store as soon as it was announced as part of the PlayStation media briefing. It didn't take long for gamers to work out that this 1.3 gig download was not all that it seemed. It turns out that PT stands for Playable Teaser, and the PS4 exclusive demo is not a new IP after all. Instead, it's a brand new Silent Hill game coming from the mind-blowing partnership of Guillermo del Toro and Hideo Kojima. We don't know anything about the new game, called Silent Hills, just yet, but The Walking Dead actor Norman Reedus is also playing a big part. But that wasn't the end of the big news for Kojima, who also dropped a bombshell on an adoring audience as part of a Konami special event. Metal Gear Solid 5, both Ground Zeroes and The Phantom Pain are coming to PC via Steam. There's no date for either one just yet, but we will keep you posted. Moving on, BioWare has finally revealed the game it's been teasing us with for the past few weeks, and it's a 4v1 online action RPG named Shadow Realms. The game focuses on people with superhuman abilities, but it's up to you to choose to team up and use your powers for good, or to go it alone and play as an evil Shadow Lord. We are still on Earth, but it's a near-future version of our planet. Modern heroes are waking up to their magical powers and being recruited to fight the war against the Shadow Legions of Embra. Shadow Realms draws heavily on pen and paper RPGs, but promises something completely new and innovative for fans. BioWare is looking for people to join in the closed alpha test for this one, so if it's something you're into, point your browser towards shadowrealms.com and sign up. Michel Ancel, the man behind games like Beyond Good and Evil and the Rayman series, has revealed his new project too. He's working with Wild Sheep Studio to create a stunning new title called Wild. The PlayStation 4 exclusive is something breathtaking. The world is the size of Europe, you can play as every single living creature, and there are giants, dancing skeletons, and more than a little magic. And speaking of console exclusives, Crystal Dynamics has dropped a bombshell with the announcement that Rise of the Tomb Raider, the sequel to last year's Tomb Raider reboot, would be hitting shelves for Christmas 2015, exclusively for Xbox One. Somewhat predictably, fans were less than thrilled by the news, and equally predictably, just a few days later, Microsoft admitted that the exclusivity deal had a duration, suggesting that perhaps you will be able to get the game on other platforms if you're prepared to wait. If you're not prepared to wait, here's some quick news for you. Blizzard gave us a quick look at Warlords of Draenor with a synchronized event in both Los Angeles and Cologne, revealing both the brand new opening cinematic for the World of Warcraft expansion and announcing the official release date. Mark your calendars, you are invited to face Grommash Hellscream and the Iron Horde on November 13. John Romero, one of the godfathers of modern gaming, has announced that he is working with a concept artist on some cool imagery for a shooter, marking his intention to return to the genre after more than a decade away. Disney Interactive has announced the next playable character to appear in the Disney Infinity Toy Box 2.0, the one and only Donald Duck. He's set to join the Avengers, Spider-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Maleficent, Merida, Stitch, Tinkerbell, Princess Jasmine and Aladdin in the new game, due out in Australia from September 18. Now, anyone who has ever had anything to do with Obsidian Entertainment can imagine just how happy the team must be now that the studio signed a deal to create games based on popular tabletop RPG Pathfinder. The first project is an adventure card game set in the world, headed to tablets. Also headed to tablets, Ubisoft's adventure puzzler Valiant Hearts: The Great War, which is bringing its shell-shaded history lessons to iOS on September 4. We are promised intuitive touch controls for this outing, with the studio explaining the game has been completely rethought and adapted to the mobile format. And a third company has set its sights on iPad: Nintendo. We don't know just when Pokemon trading card game online will be arriving on Apple tablets, but we do know that it is coming after years of Nintendo saying it was never gonna happen. And finally this week, we acknowledge the passing of Robin Williams. The comedian was known to enjoy video games, name-dropping more than a handful in interviews over the years. Since his passing on August 11th, tributes have started popping up in gaming spaces and communities all over the world. Blizzard has responded to an online petition asking for a memorial in World of Warcraft, saying simply that the studio is taking care of it and promising to handle any potential character or tribute to the actor with great care. Nintendo was also approached with a petition, responding with a pledge to hold the memories of Robin close, but not discussing further plans during this difficult time. Robin Williams would refer to video games as cyber cocaine and was reportedly a big fan of World of Warcraft, Portal and Call of Duty. In 2011, he appeared in a series of videos for the Ocarina of Time 3D with his daughter, Zelda.
The first time I saw you, I knew we'd be linked forever. For you, I traveled to the four corners of the world. I faced adversity. I became a hero.
Dad.
I saved your kingdom.
Dad.
Yes, Zelda?
Are you mixing me up with the princess again?
Hard to say. You're both pretty magical.
For more information on any of these stories, or to keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com. But for now, stick around, got plenty more still to come.
Our world has changed.
Systems checked. Ready to prime.
And despite our advances in both science and technology, we can no longer deny what is clear. Our time on Earth is ending.
We're taking the series Civilization into the future. So up to now, the Civilization series has been a turn-based strategy game about leading your civilization from the dawn of man to the present day and to glory. And now we're taking the Civilization game into the future, so that means we're leaving Earth and we're settling on another planet. We're building a colony there, and humanity has to overcome all the challenges that an alien world will throw at us and make decisions on where to go for humanity and how technology and culture will develop. So all the cornerstones of civilization, but in a sci-fi setting.
When you say that it's going to be very sci-fi heavy, is it just the atmosphere, or are there going to be new technologies that you can research, that sort of thing?
That's actually one of the biggest differences to the Civilization series up to now. The technology isn't linear anymore. So when you research, it's a technology web. You start in the middle and you go out into an unknown future. So while the technologies right around the center are still fairly familiar and based in today's science, the further you go out, the more fantastical or more sci-fi it gets. With those technologies, you get to build like crazy robot units or alien gene-spliced units, and there's a lot of fun. And the aim there was to stay plausible every step along the way, but out there on the corners of the web, it gets pretty sci-fi.
Are humans the only race?
So the game ultimately is about humanity and how it'll overcome the challenges. There is one victory condition, that is to establish contact with another sentient race. But the players you can play are all human.
Sounds like you've put a lot of work into the whole environment and the feeling of the game. Does it still feel like we're playing a Civilization game?
So our aim is to definitely retain the Civilization feel, but make the gameplay feel different in terms of the atmosphere, I guess. So the gameplay systems you will recognize if you've played a Civilization game before. Certain things are just so core to Civ that they need to remain in the game. For example, you have your city and you get yields from the city, and you build units and you explore the planet, and so those things stay. And then other systems come online that are new. For example, the quest system. We have a new quest system implemented, which is a great vessel for us to transport narrative. Because, you know, in the history of Civilization games, we can rely on players knowing the history of Earth and how mankind developed. Now that we're going into the future, it's all unknown, it's all fictional really to a certain degree. So we need to provide a new framework so players can continue to tell their own story while they lead their civilization.
Is it still competitive? Can I still take on my friends to see if who can build the better civilization?
Yes, we still have multiplayer in Beyond Earth.
Civilization has always had a great cast of characters, world leaders, historic figures. Are we doing something similar with this?
Oh yeah, definitely. So the aim here, of course, is to have fictional characters. It's not like we're just taking Gandhi or Montezuma into space. No Gandhi space nukes. But we have fictional characters, and we put a lot of effort into writing backstories for those characters and developing their characters, the concept work, and really figuring out how they tick and how they work and what their personality is like. So we have 8 leaders that will be in the game, and they have unique personality.
It sounds like it's going to be massive. How much work went into this? How long has this taken to come to where it is now?
That's always a tricky question, because the first prototype, so David and Will, the lead designers, had this idea quite a while back, but until the teams ramped up, and yeah, we've been working pretty hard on this for a while now, and we're so excited to see when it's coming out what everybody thinks, and if we manage to get that balance right between Civ and sci-fi.
A new beginning for mankind.
Over the past 4 years, European game developer Wargaming has racked up more than 100 million active users. Most of them, of course, are playing the game that started it all, World of Tanks, but plenty have taken to the skies in World of Warplanes, and there are still more hanging out for news of the latest game, World of Warships. While we were at E3, we caught up with Ivan from Wargaming to find out what's coming up when this killer franchise takes to the 7 seas.
World of Warships, it's a game about huge battleships of World War II. In this game you can play destroyers, cruisers, battleships, aircraft carriers, whatever you want. Currently for 2 nations, for US and for Japan, but in future we'll plan to add Russian, Germany and British ships, and the rest of other naval nations also.
As we know by now, the team at Wargaming is awfully fond of historical accuracy. World of Warships is no exception. If you've got a favourite ship from anywhere between the Dreadnought era of 1906 to the Korean War in 1953, chances are it'll be in this game, with its various strengths and weaknesses. This was actually a very well thought out move on Wargaming's part. The studio is drawing on the vast European naval culture, and they've designed the game specifically to appeal to military buffs and history nerds as well as gamers. Using real-world ships from a number of backgrounds like the Kagero-class destroyer, the New Mexico and the Yamato is all part of a plan to draw non-gamers into the world. As soon as you install the game, you're given a choice of 4 different classes of ships. You might want to play as a small, fast destroyer, which means you will have torpedoes, but not much else to defend yourself with. If you want something a bit bigger, there is a selection of cruisers or heavy battleships for the next step up, or for something a little different, why not pick an aircraft carrier? They come with their own planes.
4 different classes of planes. It's recon planes, fighters. Main goal for fighters is to destroy enemy bombers and torpedo bombers, and of course also fight enemy fighter planes. Next class, it's dive bombers. They are good against medium ships. And the last one is the torpedo bombers. They're very effective against capital ships.
But the aircraft carriers aren't the only ships that can call in a little help from above. Each of the ships in the game has the ability to send out a scout plane, which can be really useful when dealing with the limited line of sight these ships have been locked with. Maps for World of Warships are inspired by international waters. You will be able to duke it out in the Atlantic, Pacific and Arctic Oceans, and each map will have its own flow of battle, complete with its own weather patterns. Those scout planes are going to be pretty handy in the middle of a raging storm.
Most of the ships have the scout planes on it. You can launch scout planes. You cannot directly control the plane, but you can set waypoints for it. And this plane will spot enemy ships for you and for your teammates. These planes can't attack anybody, but they can make a recon for you. The thing is that these planes can be easily destroyed by anti-aircraft guns of the ship, by enemy fighters, etc. But they do a great job for you. They show enemy ships and you can attack them from long distances.
Each of your ships can be upgraded in a number of different ways. These upgrades are directly linked to the type of ship you're playing with at the time. Some will affect your armour, others your speed, others your health, and you can upgrade the main gun, the engine or the hull of some models, while the aircraft carrier can upgrade the hangar, and the destroyers can improve their torpedoes. Each upgrade, of course, will cost you in-game money with the same sort of currency system as we've seen in World of Tanks. It is entirely possible to play the game and to win rounds without spending a cent, but if you don't like the idea of actually playing your way through all of the lowest tiers, you can fork over some real-world money to speed things up a bit.
We have a goal to make a gameplay suitable both for experienced tank players and for new players. So this means that some mechanics in the game look similar to tanks, but we also have a lot of new things in our gameplay. For example, ships are much more team play game comparing these tanks with planes, because there are no possibility to win the battle in ships with only one successful ship. You need the help of your team anyway. So this is one thing. The second thing, that gameplay is not so fast as planes. You have much more options for you to choose, but it's not so tough in terms of clicking per second. So it's much more comfortable from our point of view. And the third thing, that we balance all classes all together, that every class is playable on each tier in our game. So you can successfully play the destroyers on tier 2, from tier 2 to tier 10. The destroyer is the smallest and fastest type of the ships, and also you can play aircraft carriers on all tiers, and it will be comfortable for you.
World of Warships is currently in alpha testing with a closed beta test planned before the end of 2014. You will be able to take to the high seas officially sometime next year. are here again with Dax Ginn from Rocksteady Games. You guys are back this year. You have Batman Arkham Knight. It's on the show floor, and more to the point, there is a Batmobile out there.
I know, right? We've been working on this game ever since we kind of were putting Arkham City to bed in 2011, thinking about E3 2014, and here we are with the Batmobile in the game and on the show floor. What a moment. The thing about the Batmobile is, because when you see it in game, it's big, right? But when you see it for real, it's like this monster. So in our minds, when we've been building the game over the last 3 years or so, we kind of wanted to have this real presence, to be as fearful an entity as Batman himself is. People out there on the show floor, they're standing back. They don't want to get too close.
You get fingerprints on it.
No, don't be doing that. Do not do that.
But so hang on. So when it's out there on the show floor, it's very static and it's not moving.
Yes.
In the game, you can drive it.
You can drive it in pursuit mode at insane speeds. You can tear up the streets of Gotham City. You can transform at the touch of a button into battle mode, unleashing Batman's military-grade artillery against the forces of the Arkham Knight. What a game.
But now that we've all been distracted by the vehicles, what about the rest of the game?
Once we decided to commit exclusively to next gen, that was when everything became possible. Building out the entirety of Gotham City, this immense size and scale, but also incredible detail, has been a huge technical and creative challenge for us. But we know that's what Batman fans want, that's what gamers deserve. We put the Batmobile in there so you can cross Gotham City with just insane speed. You can eject out of it, you can gain insane altitude, diving into fights. The entirety of the experience has been designed for one thing: make players feel like they are the Batman in this, the epic conclusion to the Rocksteady Arkham trilogy.
So, story-wise, this is, as you say, the conclusion of the trilogy. It's the apex, it's the climax. What happens?
I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens. What I can say is the players that are involved are bringing this to a critical conclusion. The Scarecrow is back, humiliated in Arkham Asylum, completely absent in Batman Arkham City. He is back to reap revenge against the Batman, to destroy the legend, the myth that is the Batman once and for all by uniting the Rogues Gallery. He has got the Arkham Knight, this brand new character that we've designed in collaboration with DC Comics, who brings the command of this vast and fearsome military force that Batman is battling in the streets of Gotham. It's this epic conclusion because it's war in Gotham, and I'm spelling that W-O-R.
Of course you are. Why not?
I don't know. It just came to me. Maybe we won't spell it that way. We'll go more traditional.
Obviously, you guys are still working really, really closely with DC on this, even though you're making up your own stuff, right?
Yeah, like the spelling of war, we make that up whenever we want. But contributing to the kind of Batman universe that we have been creating in the Arkhamverse, but also collaborating with those guys at DC who just know Batman so well. When it comes to the visual design of a character like the Arkham Knight, we can really focus on gameplay and then collaborate with them on how does his visual appearance become reflective of his purpose in the game. That's a real kind of tough challenge to crack, but with their experience, I think we've created an amazing new villain.
And I'm assuming that there are some amazing new weapons in the game as well, because that's what you guys do.
Weaponry, gadgetry, everything you'd expect from the Batmobile is there, as well as on Batman's utility belt. We've got the Bat Scanner. Did you see the Bat Scanner? The Bat Scanner is awesome. When you transform into battle mode, you've got this amazing heavy cannon, you've got this Vulcan gun. All of these weapons are there to take down the unmanned drones that the Arkham Knight has under his control, because Batman is not going to be taking out soldiers or infantry. He can use less than lethal ammunition for that, but the important thing for him is that he defends the city that he's vowed to protect.
Now, you mentioned that this is only coming to next gen. What sort of opportunities did that open up for you?
Scale and detail, two things you don't usually see together. If you want to make a big game, you can't make a detailed one. If you want to go for detail, you can't very well make a big game. With the power of next-gen horsepower, we can create that sort of really intimate detail that all of our games have had in the past, but do it on the kind of epic scale that you need to build out the entirety of Gotham City. So Gotham City itself is like 5 times bigger than the game world that we built for Arkham City. That was not a small game. That makes it 20 times bigger than the game world in Arkham Asylum. That was not a small game. So we've been hard at work creating all of that detail, but doing it on an amazing scale.
What do you have to say to people who think that Batman's a little bit overdone in video games these days?
Well, I don't know who's saying that, but if anyone was to walk up to me in the street, I would say this to them. Batman is incredible. Batman has been around for so long because he's such a compelling character. He's got a human heart. He's got a heart of gold. But it's that mortality combined with his morality that I think makes him so interesting. But with the Arkham series, we really wanted to explore a much more emotional and personal side of him. And Batman Arkham Knight is the most emotional game that we have ever created. Drawing in characters like Oracle, like Commissioner Gordon, the allies and the heroes that are in Batman's world, once they get drawn into this conflict that he is engaged in, and they start to be drawn into the crossfire and bear the burden of the decision that he's made, that's some seriously emotional stuff. And it's only really themes like that that you can deal with Batman, because he's a human character.
How many more bones will you crush? How many lives will you destroy in pursuit of what you call justice? You are the product of everything you fear. Violence, darkness, helplessness. All that remains is for you to watch as I drag your beloved Gotham into oblivion.
And that's about it for this edition of Player Attack. Thanks for watching. Next week we play with some nifty new gadgetry, the Kaiser Bass Game Recorder HD. We also catch up with Crytek to chat about the upcoming co-op game The Hunt, and we take a look at just how well Diablo 3 turned out on PlayStation 4. Does the Ultimate Edition really live up to its name? In the meantime, you can catch us on playerattack.com. We are on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter, and if you've got something you want to say, send us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com, or just hop on our forums. Till next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.